when you hear the term extinction risk, what is the first thing that comes to mind? Anybody?
Thank God.
Oh,
At
yeah.
the dawn of the age of AI, with literally everything on the line.
Liza Banks, and this is a black box scare you at all?
I was like, my pussy. No, I'm sorry. Sorry, what's going on in there? I don't know. That's all I have to say.
That's good. That's good. Thank you. Thank you. That's the content we're looking for here on Last Laugh. Notes in the notes, stars, Liza Banks, stars.
Get to a point where maybe we don't have to be creative anymore. We don't have to be witty. And our own creative instincts will sort of atrophy like a T-Rex's arms, because we don't have to do it. For the same reason that people don't have like big forearms from churning butter anymore. Because we don't have to do that sort of thing.
Except for Mike. I don't know if you see he's got massive forearms for churning butter, which is odd. But
yeah. Probably just the one forearm, very bad.
From the butter. So from the butter.
Model existence.
Yes. Have you ever asked it if it thinks AI will destroy humanity?
Oh yeah. And what does it tell you, Mike?
Yeah, it's we're dead. It's over. It's
Welcome to Last Laugh, where we laugh while we still can.
Welcome, dear friends, to the first ever episode of Last Laugh. I'm going to have Mike Quinlan introduce Violet and Liza Banks because Mike is a famous introducer of comedians. He's a comedian himself and an introducer of comedians, but I will introduce Mike. Mike Quinlan is a fellow Baltimore resident, as I am, and a longtime comedian, comic host, just a guy who's been in the comedy scene for a long time, and is excited to help partner with me and try to figure out how to make a comedy podcast. So, Mike, if you would please introduce these fine folks you brought here.
Liza.
There we go.
Campagna is up in New York City now, doing her thing up there. Violet Gray is one of the most talented Renaissance people I know in the arts today. And she is also a Baltimore resident. And it's great to have.
Excellent. Liza Banks, congratulations to you for escaping Baltimore up to New York. There's only a few getaways, so, much respect given. I was curious about your name, and I'll be trying to make jokes here during the show. But you guys are the actual comedians, so, you'll be forgiving to what I have. And I do have a joke about your name, Liza Banks, but we're going to hold off on that for a little while.
Okay. Can't wait to hear it.
I'm going to keep
it. If it's anything new, keep it in your back pocket.
I don't think it is. It can't be.
It's a double name. My mom is from Alabama. So, double names are very common in the South. So I always attribute my names, you guys know that song Boy Named Sue by Johnny Cash?
Sure.
Yeah. I want to fucking kill my mom. It was her decision, and I just have to live with it every day. And it's guys like Mike, who I've known for so long, and I feel bad telling people hey, I don't go by Liza, but I'm it is. They hammered it into me. I go by LB. When I played lacrosse, they called me LB.
Okay.
That's easier. Feel free to call me that. It's the same amount of syllables as Liza, but it's correct.
LB. All right.
No, you're totally fine, Mike. I don't take offense at all. I just feel bad because I'm I've gotten better about it as I got older, where I'm just I tell people as soon as I hear it, hey. Because I feel it gets stuck that you call me people call me lying.
Everybody says fucking Quinlan, and that's just basically it. So I've never really
specifically fucking Quinlan.
Fuck you, Quinlan.
All right, so let's just take it from the top and let's talk. I want to know, what do y'all know about AI? Let's just try to level set here. I spend a lot of time thinking about it. I have no idea what y'all think about it. Let's start. Violet, you tell me, what do you know about AI?
As far as I can tell, AI is a sense, in this context, is a sense of artificial creativity sourced from a sort of algorithm. So, for example, when you see things that are AI generated, at least in the context I think we're talking about now, I think in a very base way, AI is programmed logic, if then, and the ability for a computer to make its own decisions based on its programming. But when it comes to creativity, I would say that it is visuals and content derived from an algorithm is how I would describe it.
All right, that's excellent. That's very good. High marks. Liza Banks. What do you know about AI?
Yeah. I think similar to Violet, I feel like AI it's like human behavior and it mimics human behavior and human thinking. So it's built to recognize patterns, make decisions, internalize and scrape information, and then regurgitate it back to you in a way that would seem efficient or like how you asked. But I know it. I'm also really interested in it as like a tool and function. I've been following it since it came out. I actually got laid off when like a couple months after it came out as a copywriter, and so I had a funny feeling that it related to ChatGPT. But it is a computer system that performs tasks that would like require human intelligence, but does it in a faster and more efficient way.
Nice. And did you are you continuing with the copywriting? Did you find another gig copywriting or?
No, I did not. I work I'm a tour guide. I nanny. I coach lacrosse and I do stand up. It was kind of good because then I moved to New York, but it was in DC. And I don't know for sure if it had to do with AI, but I can get into this later on to get into it now, but I also lost a job because of AI that I was supposed to get in the spring, but I can say that for later.
Okay. All right. Quinny, how about you and AI? What's going on?
From an elementary level, I just don't understand what was any different from Siri. To be honest with you, because I could ask that the same questions and I would get answers. Now I'm actually just a little bit more skeptical because, AI is great and I usually wash most stuff through with AI if it's larger concept or I'm looking to condense some writing. But there's usually, pretty significant errors that need to be taken into account. My concern with the AI is when it washes all the information, what about the information that's wrong and misleading, like particularly on purpose misleading? Somebody puts facts out there, hoping to continuously overload AI so that fact becomes real. I don't know. That's where my biggest concern is that fake information is going to make its way into the ecosystem and people are going to believe it or not.
Sure. No, that's very real concern. So let's talk about like daily use. They want us all to be using this thing. They want us to put a hockey puck on our chest and walk around and have it with us. And like, how are we using it in our daily lives? Anybody? Yeah.
From a visual standpoint, I'm using it to make secondary or third pieces of art for the stand-up comedy shows to try to have additional content for marketing. So from a standpoint of using AI right now, it's usually washing like grant applications through or using it for art so that I can make additional reasons to post.
Okay. All right. Violet, how about you?
So when I'm not doing stand-up comedy, I actually work at a library. And I think because physical books are the core of what I do, I don't have too much interaction with AI. Like I'll occasionally see the sort of thing that like Mike Quinlan is creating where people use the AI art for like flyers and things.
Yeah.
But other than that, like the only time I really come in contact with AI is in the very basic way, like when I'm doing searching for certain books, certain titles. I need to look up this ISBN. But just in my daily life, I do not. I can see a use for it. So I do a podcast that's an all stand-up comics game of Dungeons and Dragons, and
That's awesome.
okay. Oh my gosh!
I told you.
If you're not the GM, but I am the GM, and so I'm constantly creating images of monsters and dungeons and things. And we're not a big enough operation to pay an artist for every session, for every monster. And so I do use AI at least once a week for that purposes, because I create my dungeons by hand, but I'll use AI as a template and then I'll edit template.
Sure. And how do you feel about it? You feel like it's a useful creative tool helping you do stuff? Like you feeling good about it?
I think yes and no. My general idea about AI is like, it's sort of like fire. Like every time there's a major invention that comes along that can help humanity, but can also be very destructive. And I think it was good as a starting point for some of the things I like to do creatively, but I still like to take the helm in a way. I don't like to let it fully take over because I wouldn't feel like that's my expression.
Yeah. Liza Banks?
I've started to pull back from using it a little bit because I have learned about the environmental ramifications. But let me tell you, up until about a week ago, I'm using it for everything. I'm talking about, here's what I have left in the fridge. What can I make? What summer flowers should I plant in my garden? I have to go to the air. My flight's at 7 a.m. What time should I leave? And like, when do the trains go? It's basically, I think, become like the new Google. Like instead of being like, I'm going to Google it, I was like, I'm going to ask ChatGPT. And it's kind of crazy how much I've used it for that kind of thing, but it's like literally anything. I had a submission. I don't really use it for creative stuff that much, but I do use it for like research. And if I'm also like an editing, so like if I have a 500-word essay and I'm like, okay, I want to pare this down to 300 words, I'll like send it through ChatGPT, which then it does take my stuff and then it's going to use it somewhere else. But it gives me 4 or 5 different options of rewritten it using less words. So like, it's really interesting. I heard someone say recently, like ChatGPT and like AI in its current form is like Netscape to the internet. Like we're still in the like early iterations of it. So I'm trying to figure out how to be as fluent as possible in it because I can tell just based on the amount of times that I open my phone to it on the app where I'm like, oh, this is going to be something I interact with multiple times a day, every day for the rest of my life. And I do wish there was a way I haven't been using it recently because of the water it uses. Not that my one intake really matters, but yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like I forgot. Yeah, I like pulled up my ChatGPT history because I was like, it's like wild. Some of the stuff, like I said, it's crazy. Like it's my new thesaurus. It's like, when I had a job interview and I was like, what are some questions that this job interview would ask me? That sort of thing. So it is kind of crazy how much it can be used for.
And so so you were in all the crazy intense use, take a picture of your refrigerator, tell me what I can cook with it, take a picture of my mail, tell me what's whatever, just all this stuff. And then because of the water use, you went to 0?
Yeah, I'm like a big environmental freak. So I like run a clothing swap and I sell vintage clothes and like I try to fly as little as possible. I don't have a car. I take the train everywhere. I try to think about my environmental impact a lot. So I did research on the water thing and I was like, oh, that's bad. And also, my boyfriend used to be a crypto miner.
Oh, very nice.
Awesome.
Oh, good.
You have to make up for that. You owe some water.
Well, so that's the thing. So I can literally physically wrap my brain around why it's wasting so much water because I saw it firsthand via the like local crypto miner.
Yeah.
So I understand the concept of how it's running and how much water it's taking up. So that's also partially why.
Your boyfriend is he's like a walking water debt. He's like a giant minus sign walking on.
Oh yeah, I mean he's so did it make him any money? No.
Yeah. So was he one of the people who had all of the graphics cards for different?
He had a bunch of GPUs. Yeah, and he still has GPUs, and it's so funny because he sells them on Facebook Marketplace now, and they're not worth what they used to be worth because But every time someone buys it, it's the same time. Yeah, the supply and demand, but also because there was what's it called? There was some sort of requirement put in place for like how much you had to be mining to be able to mine.
Yes.
So the GPUs that were being used for those small amounts went totally. They were no longer applicable to that. So that's when they lost a lot of its value. And then he sells them, but he sells them to like the 16-year-old gamer boys. So it's really funny. Every time someone comes to our house to buy them, they're like these like nerdy boys who have they're incels, but they're also like buying the GPUs for cheap.
Yeah, to give you a vague idea, imagine if people, like if this was like the 1980s, imagine if people were taking souped up car engines and using them to put in calculators.
Right.
And so,
yeah.
And so you wouldn't have you would go to buy a car and like, sorry that we have no engines in the cars. Like, why? It's because the nerds bought all the car engines to put in their Texas Instruments calculators, which allowed them to count 680 billion beans per second. And it was sort of like,
I like that. So I don't know how much research y'all did into this YouTube channel we're on here. But it started with a podcast I started called For Humanity, an AI risk podcast, and then that channel is becoming the AI Risk Network. This show will be debuting on the AI Risk Network. And the point of the whole channel is about extinction risk from artificial intelligence. So let me just throw this around. When you hear the term extinction risk, what is the first thing that comes to mind? Anybody?
Thank God.
Well, yes, if you're pro-humanity extinction, then this is the movement for you. I wondered if AI is just like our comet, like the dinosaurs.
Yeah, I've been using it to ask bigger philosophical questions. Have you ever asked it if it thinks AI will destroy humanity?
And what does it tell you, Mike?
We're dead. It's over. We just put the cock back on the gun. It's ready. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've wondered about as someone who creates content and is to some extent creative for a living is it starts with the death of the value of creativity. So I wonder if like in 15 years, somebody will make a joke and somebody will turn to them and be like, "Are you still being witty by hand? What are you, Amish?" Because you don't have to be, it will get to a point where maybe we don't have to be creative anymore. We don't have to be witty. And our own creative instincts will sort of atrophy like a T-Rex's arms, because we don't have to do it for the same reason that people don't have like big forearms from churning butter anymore, because we don't have to do that. So,
except for Mike. I don't know if you see, he's got massive forearms from churning butter, which is odd.
Probably just the one forearm, very bad.
From the butter. So much of the butter churning.
Model existing.
Yes. Yes. So,
Liza Banks, how about you? Extinction risk. What do you think when you hear AI extinction?
Yeah, I think it's a telltale sign that the guys who made it are the ones that are on the side of the extinction risk. I mean, I feel like they've seen it on the inside. It's Elon and Altman are the guys that are like, whoa. And that's always a scary feeling. But I also think, to Violet's point, to kind of go on the flip side of that, I do think, and it was actually Sam Altman who said this, and I tried to track down the quote before I got on, and I couldn't find it. I think it was on Karis Fisher's podcast called On. And he talks about how the value of authenticity will only rise because there's so much of this garbage AI art out there. And I think I, as an optimist, kind of find that to be true, where it's like, if you can find a way to break through the noise and really convey your voice or your originality or your creativity, it's something that no matter how much it tries, a robot could never recreate. It can take from that and then spin it and make something else, but it's never going to be an actual human voice or like something creative. I do think, like I said about this being the first iteration, that I think the big risk is not the extinction of humanity, but the extinction of a lot of jobs. And I think there will be a great rewiring of the American and the global economy because of AI, because there's gonna be so many jobs that are wiped out, whether it's automated jobs. I mean, I think one of the first times you really saw it, and no one really realized what it was when it happened, but at hundreds of thousands of franchises across the US, they use AI to take your order. Those little standalone machines are an AI. They're artificial intelligence designed by McDonald's, designed by Taco Bell to take your order, to suggest something else. They make way more money and they're way cheaper than hiring someone and paying them a minimum wage salary. And so it's already begun, but it's not even just going to be from those minimum wage jobs. It's also going to be from jobs where people my age that are 25 are trying to get right out of college. So I think that's the fear for me is not the extinction of humanity, but the extinction of jobs.
Okay, I feel that. I'm going to try to get you to feel some fear for extinction of humanity real quick, and then we'll get into some job stuff just shortly after that. Okay, so I want to walk you guys through sort of that are like the 4 basics of the moment we are in with human extinction from AI. We're just going to walk through them. I'm going to tell you about them, how ridiculous they are, and hopefully we'll have some fun with it and laugh and make some jokes about it because it's just so ridiculous.
Great.
Right? So fact number one is that the makers of AI, right, the companies themselves and the most qualified outside experts agree that there is a very strong chance that what they're building kills us all.
Yes.
Right? They openly admit this. There was in May of 2023, there was a statement made by the Center for AI Safety that says mitigating the risk of extinction from artificial intelligence should be a global priority alongside nuclear war and pandemic. So Sam Altman, all the CEOs signed this piece of paper that says what we're doing is as dangerous as nuclear war and pandemics. And yet there is more regulation on any of our haircuts than there are on anything having to do with AI. So just thoughts on that first thing, that these dudes are like off in their lab building a thing and they continue to build it knowing that it can just kill us all.
That's very, very interesting. It reminds me of like Mary Shelley. Like, imagine if Dr. Frankenstein was building this monster and then he would periodically go down to the village and be, oh, by the way, I'm building a giant monster. It's probably going to go on a rampage. It's like, I think you're right. We should probably feel more alarmed about that if the person building a thing is like, oh, by the way, if this gets out of control, it could wreck everything. I do think that is cause for alarm. One thing that I was not as up on that Liza Banks was talking about was the way it wasted water. I know that the energy to make these processes has to come from somewhere. I'm assuming it's not like lots of nerds on Pelotons, but like
sweat. That's their sweat.
Yeah, more than usual. But yeah, I think the environmental hazard, and I'm assuming, I don't even know why they said the people who signed the paper. I don't know what their argument is, but perhaps the environmental aspect is something that should be more talked about.
Sure, absolutely. All right, Liza Banks, did I move you at all with point 1 about extinction?
Well, one, I think Sam Altman does that as a PR move because I think he knows that there needs to be regulation around it, and I don't think he necessarily thinks that it's going to be the end of humanity. I think I'm also a technology optimist, so like the march of progress never stops. Like there will be no stopping AI to continue to like build and grow. I think my big thing around like technology and especially the internet that I think applies to AI is that there's never been any sort of significant regulation around the internet. Like you said, there's more regulation around how my hair gets cut than how I use AI. And I think I think there are guys like Sam Altman. I mean, it's hard because you're like, Sam Altman's a flawed leader. There's a lot of things about him that are not exactly perfect. But I also think if you have a guy like that over a guy like Elon, who's at least acknowledging the fear, but I don't think he really believes that it's the end of human extinction. I think he does that so that he can mosey up to those people up on Capitol Hill and say, hey, make sure that whatever regulation you put in place doesn't damper the shareholders of my company. So I'm not swayed completely, but
Okay. All right. I feel it.
Yeah, have you mentioned math and AI?
No. This is good. You're hitting like, that's a common note that people are like, it's just a sales technique. They're telling us it can kill everyone as a sales technique. And I would just put it back at you. Like, what product has anyone ever sold by saying it can kill everyone? And everyone's like, sweet, let's go buy more of that. But I mean,
in the 16.
But they stress the safety of cars. Like we have, state agencies and federal agencies that regulate cars. The highways are incredibly regulated. There are all sorts of safety devices in them.
Yes, but, and this is the reason I bring up cars is because I use a analogy with cars a lot with the internet. When cars were first invented, there was none of that. There was zero of that. And then cars were causing all these accidents and we got the seatbelt. On the internet, around AI, there are no seatbelts. we need seatbelts, but you're not going to stop selling cars. People are always going to use cars now.
I like it. All right, this is good. This is solid. We'll build on this. Mike, anything on point one? The CEOs admit it can kill us. The leading experts say it can kill us. Everybody agrees it can just kill us all.
Well, here's the deal. I mean, the march of progress never stops. I believe that Liza Banks is right about that. Ironically, though, if we drill down to the situation and the problems we have in society today, it's still male bullies. So we have all this technology, and it still comes down to like 5 or 6 male bullies around the world, whether they be dictators or industrialists that are pushing people to the brink of personal extinction, much less societal extinction. That's where I'm sticking.
All right. The male bully.
Yeah, I mean, Xi Jinping, Donald Trump, Putin, the dictators in the Central African Republic, the dickheads in South America. They're all, bullies. When's the last time a woman has started a war? I think it was Indira Gandhi in 1947, and most likely it was because there were a bunch of fucking dudes telling her that she had. So,
well, one thing, I don't know how much I believe in like complete and total mass extinction, but I do think that I do wonder what happens to people when most of their ways of earning a living are automated. What happens to all those people? They don't just float up into space. But either we'll have to adopt something like a UBI to literally keep people alive, or people without the means to earn a living, specifically for people who own those means of production that can extract value with as little personnel as possible. I do have to wonder what happens to those large swaths of people when their jobs can not only be done by robots physically, but can be done by robots, mentally.
Yeah. No, we are rapidly approaching the point when we will be making machines that are as smart as humans or smarter than. So this brings us nicely to point number 2, which is what in AI risk circles is known as the alignment problem, which is basically that we want these machines that we're building to do what we want, right? Most specifically not kill us, but just generally do the things that we want. And I'm sorry if you've not heard this yet to be the one to tell you, but the leading scientists on Earth and the companies have absolutely no clue how to do this. They have been trying to figure this out for a long time. Many experts think it might take 30 or 50 years if you took half of the physicists on Earth and put them on an island and said, this is your only problem to solve. And yet we are racing to the point where we're going to be at this place where we make something smarter than us before we know how to make it do what we want. And that is the biggest challenge we have. So we're making these machines with no idea how to align them to our values.
I think that this is something that we've been worried about for the longest time. That's ultimately what The Matrix is about. It's ultimately what Terminator is about. Harlan Ellison's novel, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, that's basically what that's about. And I think it's perhaps just a very basic human thing to fear the things that we cannot control, or to desperately try to get a hold on this thing. I think that's one of the biggest challenges we face, just trying to control. That isn't to say that fear has no bounds. I mean, even if you lose a very simple example, sometimes people lose control of a simple wild animal and it causes destruction. So I can sort of see both sides about the inherent danger, but also being sort of a tech optimist, because the danger is uncertain. But on the other hand, so is our capacity for innovation.
Yes, absolutely. Liza Banks, any thoughts on alignment?
Yeah, I feel like this is the biggest debate and problem within AI, and I think it's the hardest part is the easiest part to understand within the alignment problem is that they're robots. They don't understand or have the same motivations that humans do. So if you send them out to Like, I think the example, especially since I'm a big environmentalist, is like if you would ask AGI, because I also think we're not at AGI yet, which is where the alignment problem would come in.
Yeah.
You ask it, eliminate climate change, it would just get rid of all humans because we're the biggest emitters of. So I feel like, but it's also a thing where I'm like, yeah, every tool that we've ever had, we've misused. So really, right now, as a real world problem, is the alignment problem something that comes up, or is it just something that we know as an ethical issue will come up in the future? So I've thought a lot about it, but I don't have any concrete conclusion because I think it's still kind of a hypothetical because it's not yet a real possibility. But I mean, I think in terms of like military operations, medical advice, like it is starting to come into the forefront there. And it's like you always need some sort of like human reason to go through the actual data that or the actual outcome that AI scrapes. I mean, I think wasn't it like the tariffs or something that the Trump administration like 100% used AI for, and it was like total miscalculation. That's a great, I guess that's a good example of the alignment problem. But yeah, I think about this one a lot because I think it's the most interesting debate within AI.
All right, Mike.
But I think of the alignment problem, actually, it just takes me back to the story about when they detonated the first atomic bomb, and the scientists thought they actually lit the atmosphere on fire and ended the world. That's kind of where I'm at with how scared I am about the alignment problem. What I don't understand is if everybody knows that the Pandora's box is going to kill us, why the impulse from commerce continues to allow us to drive forward. Like, for example, we got all these young kids now who are becoming gambling addicts, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, 1 in 5 is going to kill himself, right? And we're like, well, okay, maybe we shouldn't have put the gambling app on his phone that he's addicted to before the frontal cortex. I mean, everybody knows this. Everybody, but yeah, we don't give a shit. We don't give a shit.
Right. Now, why did it happen? Yeah,
of course.
They had the gambling guy wanted to make money.
You know what, dude? It goes back to like the same thing with male bullies. We're still dealing with booze, drugs, and gambling as major economic drivers in this country when we have all this great technology that should be putting that bullshit into a dustbin somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's funny.
Right. So, like, I mean, the basic idea with alignment is that, there's some question around what are human values? Like what are the values of humans writ large? Everybody across religions, across cultures, like what are the common things? There's probably very few things like, don't physically hurt me, don't hurt my family, don't kill me. I think those are things that probably across cultures people generally value. But I think people would be pretty stunned to know that like these machines that we're making that are on pace to be smarter than us within a year or 2 or 3 or whatever it is, are not on pace to do what we want for decades. So we will be building our more intelligent alien co-occupant of the planet without any assurance that will do what we want to do. And that is absolutely terrifying, I think, or should be to most people. But let's move on. Let's go to problem number 3. And this is what we call the interpretability problem. And that is that we have no idea what happens inside these systems. The AI models themselves are basically black boxes where we have an input, it goes into the model, and then it comes out the other end with an output, and we're not exactly sure what happened. So like traditional software is written like code, like you can spell it out and you can then look backwards and say, oh, we got this result. Let's look back in the code and see why we got that result. And if we want to change the result, we'll change this in the code and we understand why it works. This stuff is grown, not written. So like mold on a petri dish, you put the stuff in the black box, we cross our fingers, we close our eyes, and out the other end comes the thing. And we have no idea what's going on inside there.
It sounds like a toddler where it just might say anything and we have no idea where it got that from. I think we should probably look into that. I think, wonder if figuring that out is like the frontier of science, where once we've gotten to the point where electronic devices have their own processes that are a mystery to us, which is fascinating because we created every other aspect.
Yeah.
I wonder if regulating and sort of getting AI under control, I wonder if discovering exactly what goes on there, if that is the future of technology, if that's what we'll be working on instead of, say, being creative.
So here's where it gets really crazy is like we're building these models so that they're going to be building the new model themselves. So this thing that's happening in there that we don't know what it is, it's soon going to be just operating, building the next version itself. And so we will actually probably know less about what's going on in there as time continues than more. Liza Banks, and this is a black box scare you at all?
I'm like my pussy. No, I'm Sonic. Sorry, more. What's going on in there? I don't know. That's all I have to say.
That's good. Thank you. That's the content we're looking for here on Last Laugh. Notes in the notes, stars, Liza Banks, stars. We can't align these machines. They can kill us all. We don't know how to make them do what we want. We don't know why they do what we do. And then point number 4 is we spend all our time and money. The companies spend all their time and money making them stronger, not safer. Like the dollar time talent is like 99-1 towards let's make the super death machine versus like let's figure out how to not make it do the death.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is just, in a way, that's just like capitalism 101. If the most popular gun was a gun that when you shot it, there was also a bullet that fired in the other direction, they would just continue selling that gun, even though it is the most unsafe gun. I think that sort of just like tornadoes and earthquakes and volcanoes are just like these natural disasters, in some ways I see profit motive as sort of the same thing. It's like collectively, people collectively form into corporations, and those corporations sort of lose their humanity and empathy in the pursuit of profit. It becomes like this sort of force of nature. And I think that sometimes we just have to learn to adapt to that and to fight against it in the same way we fight against natural disasters. It's like profit motive is its own force, and it will. And this, even if we solve the AI problem, this will come up again in other ways where there's just this rampant, unchecked danger that we have to get a hold of.
Yeah. I don't think you're incorrect. I think this is the biggest one there's ever been, but probably not the last one. Even if we were to figure this out, although it's obviously super important. I don't know. What do you think, Quinny?
I think there's going to be a lot of people in hell with copies of Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations saying that they should be in heaven. Yeah, it's the capitalist. It's just, this is absolutely ridiculous that you can conceivably push people into horrific situations economically and physically, and then have to form us with the luxury to have this conversation. To me is bonkers. This technology should be used right now, immediately, to help create livable situations for people, not so that dickbag Elon can have more wealth that he can never spend.
Do you know about Sam Altman? They say there's a line about Sam Altman that if he was dropped in an island of cannibals, you come back 5 years later and he'd be the king.
Yeah. So he's very hungry, is what you're saying.
His time's fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Liza Banks, I'm a little older. This is gonna, I've lived a decent life. I feel like people in their 20s are, I've had a career. I feel terrible for the youth.
Yeah, I mean, well, so to tell you guys the little snippet of the job that I lost this spring, I was supposed to coach for this like very uppity, fancy private school here in New York as a lacrosse coach, and it was a very lengthy interview process for a pretty low-level job as like 3 hours, 2 hours a day coaching these high schoolers, and went through the process, 3 or 4 interviews, got the job, had the, regular background check that you would have whenever you're working with kids, and then also had a social media background check. Now, my oversight was not telling them that I did stand-up comedy. So I sent them an email that said, hey, just as a heads up, like, there's going to be stuff that comes up on this social media background check. And honestly, gotta hand it to AI, they're pretty funny. Because what it did was, it scraped every single thing I've ever done on the internet and, like, put it into this gibberish, where it's like, Liza Banks topically talks about Trader Joe's, Burning Man, blah, blah, blah. Like, because I posted once about, like, it just took all this stuff and just combined it into this nonsense garbage. The funniest line on the whole thing was, like, it was like, Liza Banks's social media reach is above average. Liza Banks has an above average activity. Liza Banks's sentiment is trending down. I don't know what this means. I don't know. It haunts me, but it's also hilarious because I'm like, I don't even know why. But
or sentiment, like what you're putting out,
it just said Liza Banks' sentiment has been trending down. Just such a ethereal. I know, isn't that crazy? And also, like, the things that it flagged a show in New York that I did called Bitches Brew, like all this stuff where I'm like, and then I logged on that job because of this social media report. So it's really interesting because I ended up seeking out the job people and saying, hey, they said, in their bullshit email, they were like, if you have any questions, we're willing to hop on a call. And I said, yes, please, knowing full well they didn't expect me to say, yeah, I'll hop on a call. But I wanted to hear from the horse's mouth, like, why did you guys fire me? And they were very HR about it because they didn't want to get sued. Because honestly, I think it could be wrongful termination. I also was like, hey, didn't you Google me as soon as you interviewed me? And they were like, oh, we have a policy against Googling candidates. I'm like, why? Because you're stupid? Like, what are you talking about? That's crazy. What if I was like a pedophile? Like, wouldn't you want to know? Anyway, like, the fact that I got the job offer and accepted it before this social media thing went through is, to me, a red flag on them. Like, you guys should have been doing this before. But regardless, my point is...
Do you know if it was one, like, particular joke? Like, they got you...
No, they didn't. They wouldn't say anything specific. They wouldn't say anything specific. I don't even think it was jokes. Well, because also I get on the phone with her. I'm like, yeah, I'm a stand-up comedian. She was like, oh, I didn't even realize that. I was like, why else would I be doing a show in Brooklyn called Bitches Brew? Like, what are you talking about? Like, it was just like, you're just fucking idiot. And I was really frustrated by it because I'm trying to make a living. I'm trying to, like, hustle my way to making it in stand-up comedy in New York. This job would have been an enormous plus because it would have been the right hours, a nice amount of money where I don't have to work full time. Like, it was just super frustrating. But at the same time, I'm still optimistic about AI. And I think because it's a made by human thing and it's built on our biases, I'm hopeful that it can be used to address things like climate change, health insurance, like stuff where, like, there are real world applications of it that are great. I use it to make my life easier. I'm super busy. It's saved me a lot of time. But yeah, at the same time, there's a lot of dangers to it as well.
All right.
So
yeah, please, Violet.
One thing that Liza Banks brings up, I think, is sometimes human error is to delegate AI responsibilities that it's not quite yet ready for.
Yeah.
And this comes out especially when bias plays in.
Yeah.
Because AI is made by people and people have biases, unconscious biases or not. And so I think that's another danger of AI, because AI might not necessarily be, say, politically correct or something. Yeah. And where AI gets its information is very important. I've heard horror stories of people programming AIs that, like, immediately become racist because of the sort of information that it's soaking up. And it's just like, I mean, and AI that is immediately racist is like going to steal comedians' jobs because
Is a market for that?
Some places. Becoming immediately racist and problematic is a comedian's job. Damn it, we don't need robots that can be more ignorant than us.
Right?
That's all for now. Coming up next time on Last Laugh.
It had the option of cutting off the oxygen to the server room while the employee was in there. to stop them from doing it.
Yeah.
And it said, yes, cut off that oxygen to the server room, kill the human so that I stay the same.
Wow.
Well, I mean, that's just self-preservation. I feel like they should have known that was coming.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't give them
It
the
is.
HVAC password and then just say everything. You can't let them control the thermostat. Come on now.
You can't ask Frankenstein to be chill.
Learn more about AI risk right here on the AI Risk Network. This is serious shit. Comedy's a gateway to get you in. Learn about AI risk and get active. No joke.